the beans like we used to do. Pass the beans. Pass the beans like we used to do. Pass the beans.
Pass the beans.
Pass the beans.
Pass the beans.
Pass the beans. The Beans Talk. All right, y'all. What's going on? Hey, Bean fam. It is the Beans Talk podcast.
It is us.
Coming at you with another episode. It's a new week.
Yes,
it is a new
Episode
week.
3.
Okay. No, actually. Let's get but we're not starting there anyway. We're not starting there whatsoever. But anyway, we are the Bean fam. It's the Beans Talk podcast, and we are four educators of color, bringing you raw, authentic conversations about society views and community engagement. Everybody, I am Fabs.
I'm Steph. Hey, guys.
It's Ro.
And this is TJ.
Yeah, boy.
We're back at it again, man.
We are, man.
Ooh, you look mad festive, Steph.
Yeah.
I
It's
know.
the red.
I feel like,
Christmas time is
holiday time.
It's
Well,
the red,
let's get-
the blood
let's
red.
get
I
through-
think that's what it.
It's
Okay.
upon us.
Yeah.
All right, TJ.
What did you say?
Everything doesn't have to be so gruesome. Everything can be
What?
cheer. Why
Blood
can't
red.
we just stick with cheerful, joyful
All right,
times?
fine.
Yeah, holiday.
Cherry red, not blood red.
Okay, it's done. So I am so happy to do the do now today.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know about you guys, but I definitely just needed some pepping up. You know, just some sunshine, some happiness. Last week was tough.
It was a tough week, yeah.
It was a tough week.
It's the holidays, and it's
Daylight
always just hard.
savings
Daylight
times
savings
and-
time.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of other stuff going on.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
It's
So
cold now. So.
yeah, it just is. We just need a little bit of joy. So I figured that we could all answer this question: Who
gosh.
in your life
I don't.
do you want to kill? No, that was me looking directly at TJ.
Why would you want to kill me? Sweet old me.
Okay.
So, who in your life brings you the most joy and why?
Wow. That's a really tough question.
It is tough.
Because you don't want
It's
anybody
not
to
one
feel,
person.
only because you don't want anybody to feel left out if you don't say their name.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah. Well, that's not really
I think
for
it should
me.
That's for
be,
me.
you know, you should just pick the person who you think brings you the most joy. Like it
Yeah.
shouldn't be about anybody else.
And if someone expects to be named, that's kind of pompous. And like, oh, they should name me as a person. I don't know. I just think that's weird to expect.
That's also very
Yeah,
true.
that's very true.
I don't know.
For me, I think it changes depending on the given situation, but usually it's my mom, my mummy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
why?
Shout out to mom. Just because she's so she grounds me when I'm, in my crazy manic state. She I can call her for anything, and she's non-judgmental. It's just nice to have someone in your corner who sees you in the best way and sees your heart and your intentions for what they are.
Yeah.
And you know that they're not gonna judge you. I've got friends who do that too. But with
Word.
your mom, your mom isn't
real.
gonna be like, yeah, it's real. It's not like she's gonna hang up and then turn and talk about me behind my back, right? Like I know that she has my back and she's 100% my supporter. So I would say her.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I'm sure when she hangs up the phone, she's like, that boy.
It's awesome.
No. but
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
Love you, Mom.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's really hard. I think it does depend on the situation, in all honesty. It really, really does. Really, I think it's also because I'm so to myself with my feelings and stuff. So like in moments of like difficulty, it's really hard to say. Honestly, I don't know. It's really, really difficult for me. I would say in certain moments, it would be Steph. That brings me the most joy. In other moments, it would be my mom. And then sometimes it might just be like my niece or my nephew. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't need to have like a full blown conversation, but it's like a great escape. But yeah, it's really hard for me to say. I don't really know.
I thought you were gonna say tuxedo.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not for me.
I'm tired of y'all, throwing shade to my baby. And just so you guys know, Tuxedo is my cat. Can you stop?
Make those little blurping sounds. I'm done.
Yeah, thank you.
Man, I think Fabibil, you said something that I like. So I'm thinking something that brings me joy, or someone that brings me joy is someone I see as like a great escape. You just said that, and I like that. For me, I'm trying to see like if I can make music a person, because music really is the thing that brings me the most joy. Music really is the escape that I get when life is hitting me hard. Like I can count on music, and music won't judge. I know TJ, you talked about that with your mom. Music will always have my back. And I'm going to have to make music that person that brings me the most joy. Okay.
I purposely posed this question because when I thought about who in my life brings me the most joy, I really stopped and I thought to myself, I don't want there to be another person that brings me the most joy other than myself.
Valid.
I feel like for a majority of my life, I've always depended on someone else to be my happiness, be my joy, be the person that would bring me or pick me up in times of hardship. And I'm really trying to go through this phase of unlearning and self-discovery to where I am creating my own happiness. Like no other person in the world should have that type of responsibility.
But you.
But me.
Wow.
That's like a huge responsibility to put on somebody else to make them responsible for your joy and for your happiness. And so I am trying to end 2019 with finding more ways to be that person for myself, where I bring myself the most joy, where I look in the mirror and I'm like, I love who you are and I love where you've been, I love where you're going, and that you are the epitome of happiness. So
that's so dope.
That's real.
That's very real. That's so real. That was beautiful. And so necessary. So necessary. A lot of times I think people do rely on other people.
An outside source.
Yeah.
Just look within.
Yeah. And sometimes other people are dealing with their own problems too. Right. You know what I mean? And are struggling to be happy and bring themselves joy, and, having to do that for somebody else can be a lot of work. It can be a lot of work.
It's a weird concept to think about. When you think of yourself bringing yourself joy, I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, what do I do to bring myself joy? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
you write.
I write. That's true. That's true.
That's it.
Honestly.
That's it.
No, I mean,
I'm a one-dimensional person. That's it.
That's one of the many it's.
Yeah. No, I'm just playing.
It does. I mean, and I also just think that having the expectation of having other people bring you joy without fostering that for yourself, it also can put a lot of strain on the relationships you do have, and maybe break down the foundation a really good foundation that you might have built with someone else, just because you have all these expectations or the laundry list of things that you expect them to do for you to keep you, I would say, sane and in one piece. But it's that's just a lot of responsibility for
definitely
one person that they never really or should have to have. You should be your source of happiness.
Yeah, I feel like that when I reflect on I'm single now, but when I've been in a relationship, the times where it's fallen apart or there's been a shift or a downfall is when that's the expectation of the other person that you're with is supposed to provide you with joy. I mean, to an extent, I guess that's true, but I agree with Steph. That's a lot of pressure to put on a partner. And I know for me, I didn't like it when my partner, I felt like I was his happiness was contingent upon me. It's just not a good feeling. It's a ton of pressure.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But yeah, thank you for bringing that.
Thanks, Steph.
To the table. That's a very necessary conversation, and I think that takes a lot of work and a lot of development. and time. Because boy, it's not going to happen like overnight or anything like that. But it takes time, and it's something well worth investing in.
Yeah, and I just think the point is like people do things that bring you joy, like be around energy and vibes and people that authentically foster the joy that you're building inside yourself. Like, just be joy, be happy.
I like that. Be you, man.
Be
Because
you.
that joy is in you.
Yes.
I like that stuff, man.
It is great. It's very nice. All right, y'all. It is time for recess.
Boy.
Recess. That's me.
That is you. That is you. And so recess is a segment essentially where we break away from, I'm not going to say from deep conversation because I think that's probably always going to happen.
Valid.
But things that's solely about education, not to say that it might not bring education or anything like that or something educational, but it's just a segment for us to be able to have fun with it.
Yeah.
And play with it.
And of course, TJ is the first one. You're perfect for recess.
Pressure's on.
Pressure's on, but you know what? I'm going to make a pledge right here and now.
Oh my gosh.
That after I read you this article from Sky News, I am no longer using Apple products. I'm done with smartphones. I'm done.
Okay.
You don't think I'm going to do it?
No.
Okay, well, let's see. I think you'll agree once I read this article. So it says, according to Sky News, an Apple Watch saved hikers by calling 911 after they fell from a mountain. The Apple product, the Apple Watch called by itself.
Wait, what?
Yes.
How?
Because we live in the 2009. I personally want to go back to the time like the 90s where we didn't have the phones and we didn't have GPS or self-checkout lines or no dating apps. Like it's just, I'm telling you, it's going to lead to the downfall of society. But hold on. So it says, the article says, James Prudenciano and his partner considered themselves avid hikers. They set out on October 14th to tackle a mountain trail called the Heartstone Woods Park. It's a mountain trail in Jersey, okay? So they go there, and the two sensed that they were in trouble when they realized they were lost and the sun was starting to set, okay? And James's partner slipped on a thorny vine. She fell. He went down after her, and he fell and landed on a ledge. And according to him, this is his account. It says, my leg was twisted and a thorn had gone through his foot. So as he was trying to figure out his next move, he heard 911, what's your emergency from his phone. And his phone called 911 on its own. So I don't know. I mean, yes, it's great that they survived.
Yeah, I'm thinking like I don't see the issue.
You don't see the issue.
No,
Not with this particular
Yeah.
situation. I think this is when it's like it makes sense. Like this is like word.
Thank
that's lit.
goodness they had the technology to dial 911 in a situation like that.
In my opinion, here's what I take up from this story, is that we're relying, it's like think about GPS, right? On the surface, it seems like, GPS is popping. No one has to know directions anymore or street names. You can just rely on GPS. But if you think about it, like those soft skills that human beings have developed, like directions, conversation, dating, like, being in person, checkout, like we see it as like convenience. Like we don't have to do it anymore. Technology is doing it. But I think it's going to lead to the downfall of like us relying so much on technology to do things that we won't have any skills. Like in the future, it'll be like technology runs us, like it runs our lives.
But in this case, they were out hiking. They were doing their own thing. They weren't relying on technology.
Yeah.
Technology just happened to be the thing that...
So how
saved
did it
them.
know that the man fell?
That I don't know, but
Well, it actually says it in the article. It says that the watch was
Yo, TJ is so annoying. You're so
it says that the watch was programmed. It's like a detector on it for like impact. So when the man fell, it kicked in the phone to be like, shoot, something happened.
I feel like that's necessary. I think when it becomes a bit of a problem or a scary part is the transition from one point in technology to another point. Like there was like the accident that happened with Tesla, and there was like the couple that was sleeping or whatever, and I guess it's supposed to read where you are inside of the lanes. And there was a truck that was like passing by them, and they were knocked out, and it wasn't on manual, it was on autopilot or something like that. And the Tesla, I think, was moving over into a different lane and didn't really detect the truck. And then that ended up, they ended up getting into an accident and passing away from that accident. I think in those moments where it's like, oh my goodness, that's difficult. I think if anything, it's the transition from one point to the other that becomes more dangerous. But something like that, that's life-saving.
Thank you. That's what I meant. Like, I feel like thanks to however that Apple Watch was programmed, like it was able to save their lives. You had read that the sun was setting. It's getting dark. They're by themselves. Shout outs to that Apple Watch. But you're saying
because imagine if they didn't have their phones or anything like that, they could just be there.
Dead.
I don't know what the temperature was, or they'd be stranded.
Right. Remember when we were I think we were hiking in Ecuador, was it? And they were and they said that like the area there when we were hiking those mountains, it was like there was a time where somebody had gotten lost there, and then they ended up freezing to death. And they had smiles on their face when they
Why did you add in that last detail?
I did not have
Why did you add that?
I forgot about that.
because their teeth are like chattering like this, like
they weren't really smiling. They looked like they were smiling.
With their eyes frozen wide.
Yo, me and TJ were like, what the hell? They were happy. Like, Malcolm Brown.
listen, they're passing away. You guys are laughing. That's not right. But yeah, it's like, and that's when technology wasn't as advanced as it is now. Imagine if they actually had something, where it was like, yo, we're lost. Let me press a button so I can send a signal of where I am right now.
But every time, if you think about it, you could argue that it's always convenient. It's always like, well, it's better because this is around. I mean, I think about being an educator. I think about the times I give kids a paper to write, and they do that voice to text.
Yo, he's
why
mad
does that bother
upset.
you?
No, because
he's mad upset.
Well, that's a lot. Like,
why does that bother you?
It's like, it's perfect. Kids don't have to write, and then it's like, kids don't, or people don't have to like know street signs or have a sense of direction because of GPS, or you don't have to wait in a line at CVS because there's a self-checkout.
Yes, TJ, it's about convenience. It's
right,
like,
but where does it end?
This is how invention works. That's the point. It's like, there's a need. Let me find a way to address the need. I know when I was writing a paper, I used to be like, oh my God, I wish I could just have something where I could just say it and they just write it.
Girl.
And now there's something there where it's like, I'm just going to be like, once upon a time, and it just types it for me.
There's a thin line. I mean, that the whole talking to paper thing, this might just be my English major in me, but I have seen some of the papers that have been turned in from students when they talk, and
I know you're.
But they also write it that
we're
way.
thinking of the same student, and it's like
y'all are messed up.
Conversational essays versus like sitting down.
But they're gonna write it that way. Period.
But they won't edit it. There needs to be like an editing process. I don't know.
But tell me that you haven't received a paper or saw somebody turn in a paper back in the day where it's like they submit it and it's as if they're still talking, and a teacher will tell you like, so what you have to do is write as if you're not talking, but writing as if you're writing a paper.
We're talking casually, but
speaking casually, yes. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like it's the same case. It's like they just have to go through the extra step.
Well, it's less inside of the paper,
exactly
when it's typed out.
Now there's this I feel like with that mentality of like, it's helping. Like, when does it end? Because then soon, like, people it's gonna go into the creative realm too. Like, I think, like, there's gonna be technology that extracts like words to create songs, right? And then there'll be no need for like I don't know. I just feel like it's taking over everything. And I feel like, yes, the story on the surface seems great, and I think it is great. I'm glad they were saved.
Yeah,
but I feel like with technology in the industry, it's like keeps pushing and pushing, and soon is going to be like everything is not human thought or human function. It'll be like all based off of technology.
Algorithms.
Yeah, and that's really scary to think
I don't think
about.
I feel like you need a cane and like little glasses on the tip of your nose where you'll be like, darn technology.
I mean,
Like,
I'm
I
telling
mean, you're gonna have to get with the times. Like I feel you.
It's called evolution, man.
Yeah.
That's why we're not cavemen anymore.
I
Okay,
definitely feel you. There are some things that you want to just like keep what we would define in our generation as like sacred. Like old fashioned pen and paper, or I don't know, like coffee shop conversations without phone. I get it. But at the same time, like the world is evolving and people who are not on board, they're not going to be able to function well.
gotta keep
We
up.
have to keep adapting. That's part of being like human.
Things that are today is already the past. Okay, so like, no, in all actuality, like if you really think about it, it's like we just have to keep moving. We got to keep evolving with the times. Things are constantly evolving, and eventually it might lead to a demise. But guess what? We're gonna have to figure out how to survive. In that case, another piece of technology will come into play.
Here's the thing.
But yeah, go ahead, bro.
It's either you keep up or you get left. So like this is just like the world that we live in, bruv. And I hear you like, yo, technology taking over. It's doing too much. It's minimizing human interactions. Blase blee, blase blah. No, man, it's just the way of the world now, yo.
Have you ever seen Her? The movie Her?
Yes,
No.
I've seen Her.
Yes.
Why are you bringing that
It's
up?
the same. I'm telling you.
Wait, what is
I know
that?
we're lost.
It's pretty much a man. Well, it's
in the future.
people. Yeah, it's like based in the future, and these people have actual relationships with computers.
Like they're dating
Like
iOS.
software.
Yeah, like
This
their
one.
phone, but like a smartphone. They're
It's
dating
like
them.
he is definitely
Cut it out.
like going way
I'm telling
ahead
you,
of time.
those films predict the future. Same thing with Feed by MT Anderson.
Do they predict the future, or are they driving the future?
He predicts
But
that
at
we'll
any
have
rate-
chips in our heads, and we're gonna have the internet in our brains, and we'll like be blinking and can see this. I'm telling
They
you,
do already have chips
is
going
beat.
around. I think there are certain places that actually have that, where it's like a chip that's in your arm and it has like your information and stuff like that. I feel like that's taking it to another level, and I feel like there's going to be a large group of people, unless if there's a scare or whatever. I think there's just going to be a lot of people that are going to object to something like that, because that's like invasion of the body. That's a whole nother ball game.
they're already invading,
yeah.
but
I don't know. I think that with anything that's involved in evolution, you have to keep some sort of an open mind, while still being grounded in like your common sense and your morals, of course. But I feel like we can easily replace technology with other types of controversial things right now, like same-sex marriage, right? Like there was a time when people were like, they're on their way to same-sex marriage, like it's the end of the world, and we can't have this, or anything else like controversial, like interracial dating, or it was just like a period of time in the past where things that we're doing now, and the way that it's evolved into now, where people were just having sort of the same conversation that we're having around technology. And so I just think with anything, like, you just gotta have an open mind, man.
well, I don't think it's the same thing. But continue. Because technology is human driven, and it's based off of like how far can we push.
But
It's,
I'm
like,
talking
very
about
different.
mindset right now. So I'm not talking about, of course, we're talking about two different things, but the same mindset, the same process that your mind is going through right now is in being resistant to like change and asking like, oh, if it gets too far, then, I mean, it's the same thought process as it would be with any other category that people are uncomfortable with.
I don't think so, because I'm sorry, I don't think so, because I'm arguing that like I'm arguing the extent to which humans push technology, like because it's all us. Same sex is like, okay, that's like, in my opinion, it's like it's like it's not about how far people are pushing. It's like, what are we accepting humans to be? Like, it's not necessarily about. Yeah, I don't know. Just two different things for me, but continue.
I kind of understand though. Like there's so many times when I want to leave all of the extra Like there's like a lot of extra that goes on, and I just want to go into the woods and sleep
Extra
at a
what?
cabin. Technology, like it's distracting. There's just a lot of everything that's just thrown at you. There's things going on in the media and stuff like that, and I just literally want to detach myself from like all of it, and I just want to be one with nature
And you.
in myself, and like just like let me just walk the woods, you know, and listen to the river and stuff. Like that stuff is actually very satisfying, and I think that that's the only problem that I really see is that we're not, as a human species, we're not as in tune with nature as we really should be. That's my only problem, is that we're so attached to these devices that we are neglecting the fact that there's a different aspect to us that includes being out there with nature.
We don't know how to detach.
Yeah.
No, that's real.
You know what I mean?
Ro, do you use Tinder?
I do not.
Do you remember dating before there was social media? Or dating apps and stuff? I
do.
agree. Like,
I do remember it, but I can
Dating, we were like 15. Like, what did we say?
say I was dating.
I was older than, I'm a bit older than you guys.
I
but-
mean, yeah,
Not
like
by
I
much,
don't really
TJ.
know what dating was like before technology,
Like,
because by the
really,
time I was really
if you think about
dating, technology was already around. I
Like,
was
if
like
you-
13 years old.
There was
and talking to
AIM.
people in class.
There would like you already know that there was already
like-
technology was already in motion at that point.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like you didn't really grow up in the time where you're like, let me bring flowers or bouquets
Let
to
me go
somebody.
court.
It's
I was
not
around
really-
in the time where you called people on the phone. And
Okay,
you
we were
actually-
But we
around
still
that time
call
too.
people on the phone.
and you had minutes.
Do they?
And, yeah.
and
people-
cordless phones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Landlines.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
you
know.
were talking to people from school. When I'm thinking about like dating, like how are you like meeting people and
Yeah.
going out on dates? We were on our phones with people that we were seeing every day inside of school. We weren't we weren't old enough to actually be out there.
But that was the new
Dating.
thing. Like before, like cell phones and prepaid minutes and all that other stuff. There was like, you see people in church or people in school, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna be going to the diner and grab a shake. You want to come? Type of thing, or meet up at the roller skating rink or something like. That's the way that they did it. But every single aspect in that realm, it's just like it evolves. And now, right now, it's like it's made it easier to be able to like date, and
Yeah.
across seas, and
people
some
have found their
struggled.
soulmates across seas. Maybe your soulmate is across the sea.
You just need to pick up your phone.
Yeah,
the
pick
sea.
up your phone.
Under the sea.
You struggle with phones. I'm surprised you have a regular phone and not a flip phone.
I'm telling you, I'm going to like get rid of it.
No,
I
you're
am.
No, he's
You don't
not.
think so?
TJ's
No,
full
I
of
don't.
caca, dog.
And I'm not full of caca. I'm full of
Okay.
legit.
You're full of legit.
I'm
Okay,
full of
baby.
legitness.
Legit shit.
That is it.
What is this, a poem? This is a poetry slam now?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, that rhyme? I didn't even beat that.
All right, well, I'm just saying, I'm worried. I really am. Partly because I'm thinking of the education, like me being an educator and seeing how much phones have affected kids' like ability to concentrate. Yes, they are not reading books anymore.
Here's the problem. Education is not up with the times. Okay? That's the issue.
How do you mean?
Why aren't
It
we
hasn't
including
evolved.
technology in education
I
in the
do
way that
inclu-
we need to? You
The
do?
way in which
do.
learning is happening is not transforming. Like we're still doing things.
Like you might
How
as
do
well
you
be
mean,
teaching
how should we be
arithmetic.
transforming? Like,
Kids
are we-
inside a desk, teacher at the front of the room, facilitating
garbage.
the
do
learning.
you think they should be handwriting or typing?
We shouldn't be like there shouldn't be these silos.
yeah.
There shouldn't be. It should be like a web of like interaction because that's how the world is now. You know what I mean? It should be like everything is connected in some way, shape, or form, and that's how education should be. It should be open. It shouldn't be like boxed in and everything. It's not up with the times, and that's the reason why our students aren't learning. Because
I don't know
everything
if I
that's
agree
going
with
on
that,
outside is not going on inside. It needs to match. If it's not matching, it's not working. Along with a whole bunch of other things that's factoring into that.
Yeah,
But technology is a
there's a
part
lot.
of it. And for
maybe.
schools where technology is inside of there, it's like they're succeeding. They're doing well.
At both schools I've taught at, there was technology. I mean, they had smart boards, and the kids were, there was
smart boards.
Yeah, smart boards.
Why are we working off of smart boards? That's literally just another board that shows you.
It's different. I think that, back in the day when I was in school, they had the transparencies that the old. I mean, there's definitely things have evolved. Kids are now submitting assignments online.
Yes,
I think what Fabs is maybe trying to hint at is that even we might have matched technology to still old and conventional ways of teaching. Like maybe it's not going up to a whiteboard and doing anything.
It's not. That's
maybe
not
it's
important.
Going outside and
having conversations.
That's not technology. But
I'm saying that what's going on in the classroom should match what's going outside of the classroom. And they're always on their phones. That's what's going on outside the classroom. That's what's going on. It's technology, everything. And so it should be happening inside.
I'm sure soon we'll be having chips installed in kids' brains and they'll be learning that way.
Like Black Mirror.
I wouldn't be upset with that. Well, no, that's not okay. I take that back.
I
take that back because I don't want no chip in my head.
Something that I appreciated in grad school. So one of my classmates, because she noticed that students were really distracted by their cell phones. I can't even remember what app Shorty used, but she has the students doing stuff on their phone, in the classroom.
Yeah.
And I think that is an example of us bringing something that the students are focused so dearly on outside into the classroom. I think that's your point. Well, you don't like that? It was brilliant.
Like that.
It was actually brilliant. And
but TJ, you're
time, not more screen
with
time.
the time, at all. Okay. For somebody that's so young, you're you struggle with technology, and you're gonna be you're getting left behind technology wise.
But you know what? Screens. They say that screens are making kids have vision problems, right? That kids don't need more screen time. They spend enough time on screens. How is having them learn on their phones?
How about
I
this?
think it's toxic.
And that's the reason why things with technology that's changing, where it's going to be that the screen isn't going to impact vision as the way that it does before. Because at this point, we're too far ahead for us to be going back to paper and pencil and those projector screens that reflect onto the board, another whiteboard. I'm telling you that the time that we start to drift away from all of these traditions inside of the space, that's when we will see our kids truly succeeding. Right now I'm studying and doing the MBA, and what we focus on are cases on podcasts. Since when did they have podcasts before? They didn't. When was that a part of curriculum before? It wasn't. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's things have to keep up with the times. I'm interested because now I'm listening to a podcast and I'm oh, this is actually really dope. And then we go back inside a class and we have these group conversations and these discussions, and things are stimulating. You have to be able to keep up with the time, or else you're going to be falling behind. It's going to become so irrelevant.
I agree with what you're saying. I agree that we need to keep up with the times.
Here comes the problem.
My problem is when the technology replaces human thought and human function. Putting a podcast in the classroom and having kids analyze a podcast is great, but that doesn't take. I'm talking about things that take away the function. We're relying on this thing because it does it for us instead of doing it ourselves. It's when technology replaces the function that human beings can do, like dating or human interactions or GPS or checkout. That's things that we can do, but we just have a.
At checkout, you are doing it yourself though. You're still scanning your stuff and
but I just think it takes away the job. That's a job that someone could have for a certain class. I don't know. I think that's we need those jobs to be available for certain people.
Just when Industrial Revolution came around. It's gonna. I feel that's just a part of evolving. But I feel you. I feel my only reservation or the thing that makes me when it comes to technology is just the privacy conversation.
That's
when I'm on my phone and then they're doing facial recognition and then they're
cookies,
just
whatever those things
we
are.
see you're at blank location.
Yep.
And I'm what?
That's the only time when it becomes a problem. Because now you're invading my privacy.
Yeah,
that's
when
the
privacy thing makes me feel a little bit.
But convenience, not so much. Granted, there was this case that we learned about. I can't remember what company, but it's not to say that technology or people creating these pieces don't recognize how it could become debilitating. Like, for example, there's like an escalator. I think this was in Sweden or somewhere in like Europe, inside of one of those places. I can't remember where. I want to say it's Sweden. Yeah, pretty much actually. And so there was like this escalator and saw that nobody was taking the stairs. And I think the mission was to try to get people to take stairs as opposed to using the escalator coming from off the train. And so what they did was use like, technology to create a piano on the stairs. And now it's like every time you step up and stuff like that, it's like it makes noise. And so now you saw less people taking the escalator and
like
people
that.
like jumping up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like even old people that would clearly
Could use the
the
escalator.
escalator. You know what I mean? They're like,
funny.
we're just looking and struggling, trying to, and you just,
That's actually pretty cool.
And and I thought it was, so it's like, it's not to say that technology is like gonna be the absolute demise, because we do have this human aspect to us at the same time. It's like there are humans creating these pieces.
At the end of the day,
And it's like, convenience is necessary, but we're also recognizing that health is important.
Yes.
And so now they're like finding ways to make it so that we have watches on our hands to make sure we're monitoring our stress level. We're trying to monitor like how much we're exercising, our heartbeats and stuff like that. So there's a balance there, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like, there are some things that could potentially bring us to our demise, but there are also people creating technology that's like really trying to make sure that we're still around and we're still hanging about.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You guys ever see Wall-E? That movie?
Yes.
That's what I
And
thought
they're
of.
all just like
Yup.
fat
Yeah.
and like,
And like on the lazy river.
Yeah, no, I would hate for it to be something like that, but I think we're actively moving into a space where it's less and less so. Like everybody's eating a lot healthier because of technology. We're recognizing the harm that certain foods could actually.
It's easier to see.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's easier to look up,
and we're
definitely
living
some
longer.
benefits.
We're healthier. There's so many benefits. There are some things, that we could probably do without and is distracting. But I think we as people need to find a way to step away from it.
We have to educate around technology responsibly. It's like when you neglect, when something is like evolving and becoming more relevant and you are lacking education around how to use it properly, then you do get misuse and demise, as you may say, TJ. I just think that, as Fabs was saying earlier, we have to, instead of being resistant to the change, we need to embrace it and find a way to educate around it so that we can evolve in a productive way.
And that open mind that you talked about earlier, just be open to it, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you, TJ, for bringing that conversation surrounding technology. It was actually quite necessary.
That was good recess.
Yeah.
Now it's time to go back in.
I feel like it was.
All right, now it's time to go back inside.
if you
I don't want to learn inside this system.
If you
This
could
system sucks.
hear my voice clap twice.
I can't.
I know. I was like, I actually did that.
I'm
That
a
was
kid at
beats.
the time.
That was big.
That was
Do it again.
okay. If you could hear my voice clap twice. Oh, I like that. I might actually stick with that.
I kind of like it.
I kind of like that. It's kind of dope.
Guys, let's not, mess up something good here by overdoing it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, y'all. So we got the word of the day. And I feel like, this might be fitting. Word of the day is evolution. A lot of people are resistant to that, and I feel like that was like part of the conversation today. But the definition is the process by which different kinds of living organisms are thought to have developed and diversified from earlier forms during history of the earth. And then it's also the gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form. But yeah, I feel like that was like the theme of the day for our particular conversation. And I feel like that's also something that we can't necessarily be resistant to because it's been happening from the start of time, at least. Time is relative, but since the start of Earth, I guess, I don't know. But anyway, so evolution.
Evolution.
Yeah,
the
man.
beginning of life.
Since the beginning of life, or the lack of, however it is that you want to describe that. I don't know. I wasn't there. So
Evolving is so important. I just think about just at the individual level, where I started, where I am now, and where I still have left to go. It's like evolving is so necessary for growth and improvement and
Advancements.
advancement. Exactly. So don't be scared to evolve. It can be a very scary thing to think about evolving. It's so wrapped up in fear because nobody likes change.
Right. But change is inevitable.
Change is inevitable.
Can't stop that.
You can't. And you either have to, it's something you have to grow through. As uncomfortable as uncomfortable and as I don't know what I'm trying to say. Just a feeling of unsettled, being unsettled. I think it's really, really, really important for us to embrace change.
Yeah, because there's like this level of disruption.
It
There's
is
some-
disruption
in
of
some
what you've always done. And building new, right? Like building new traditions.
I question whether or not you can, I guess you can influence your, like what you evolve into, but I also think like when I think of evolution, I think of like evolving into some kind of hideous, like something that you don't want to like transforming into, like evolving into something that maybe you don't want to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, I don't know. I just think about that.
Okay,
It
well, that's
also-
the lack of self-reflection then. If that's
Well, yeah, I'm like, it depends on what you're putting in, right? Like and that's why I say energies and what you are constantly like reflecting on and what you're putting and surrounding yourself with and putting inside of you will be the product of evolution.
Yeah.
So you have to be mindful of that.
Either you do it or you get left behind, man.
facts.
Yes.
Facts. And I don't want to be left behind. FOMO. FOMO.
Can we please
FOMO mean?
define that?
Oh, fear of
Because
missing
everybody,
out.
yeah.
Yes. Or feeling of missing out, or is it fear of missing
Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out.
out? FOMO.
It could be feeling, but it's fear of missing out.
You'll never be left behind if you walk to the beat of your own drum.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
All right. If you can hear my voice clap twice. Oh, that.
I
Excuse
did
me,
it under the
TJ.
table.
Excuse me, TJ.
I did it under the table. I did clap.
If you were a
Insubordinate.
student, if you were a student in my
Insubordinate.
class,
I know.
I would sit you down in front of a piece of technology and make you watch it as detention.
Homework, guys. You know, please follow us on all social media platforms. And can I just say, thank you guys so much. Like, you guys, like, look at our audience.
I know, for real.
Thank you. You guys have been sharing. You've been listening.
They
You've
have.
been showing mad love to
They
the
have.
Beans Talk.
They have.
So
They have.
I want you guys to continue doing exactly what you're doing
And more.
and more. Like, comment, join our conversation. We want to know what you think about technology.
Yeah.
Do you agree with maybe Fab's perspective, or are you more on board with TJ and got the cane and the
And the glass.
and the
Slack jaw,
glasses?
like
Yeah, slack jaw.
yeah,
Yeah. So
slack jaw.
thank you guys so much. We love you and have a great week. Do something to bring yourself joy and, of course, evolve.
Yeah, man.
Definitely, man.
Definitely. But yeah, that's it, y'all. Thank you.
All right.
Hasta luego.
Bye.